Welcome to Fun Facts Online. Today we are diving deep into one of the most critical security frontiers of our decade, voice biometrics and the rising tide of synthetic media defense. We are transitioning into an era where hearing is no longer believing. The immutable characteristics of the human voice, once thought to be a secure biological anchor, are being challenged by generative AI capable of cloning a speaker with just 3 seconds of audio. This shift forces a complete reimagining of trust, authentication, and digital identity. In this episode, we are going to explore the technical, legal, and operational landscape of this battleground. To understand the threat, we must first understand the fortress itself, voice biometrics. Also known as voice verification or speaker recognition, this technology relies on the biological premise that a person's voice is as unique as their fingerprint. But unlike a password, which is a secret a voice print is something you are. When a user enrolls in a voice biometric system, they are not simply recording an audio file that gets compared like 2 megapixels 3s. Instead, the system analyzes the spectrotemporal features of the voice. There are 2 main categories of these features. First, we have physiological components. The shape of your larynx, the length of your vocal tract, the size of your nasal cavity, and the movement of your jaw and tongue all contribute to the sound. These physical traits determine the timbre or color of the voice. Second, we have behavioral components. These include the rhythm of your speech, your accent, intonation, pronunciation speed, and the idiosyncrasies in how you shape specific phonemes. The conversion of this raw audio into a secure biometric template involves complex signal processing. For decades, the gold standard was mel-frequency cepstral coefficients, or MFCCs. This involves breaking the audio into short frames, usually around 20 milliseconds, applying a Fourier transform to analyze frequencies, and mapping them to the Mel scale, which mimics how the human ear perceives sound pitch. However, modern systems have evolved to use vector embeddings. You might hear about I-vectors, or identity vectors, which compress speaker information into a low-dimensional fixed-length array. More recently, X-vectors derived from deep neural networks have become the state-of-the-art. These offer superior resistance to noise and channel variability, meaning they can better handle the difference between someone speaking into a high-end microphone versus a smartphone on speakerphone. The security of these biometric systems was largely unquestioned until the recent explosion of generative adversarial networks, or GANs. In transformer models, we have moved from text-to-speech that sounded robotic to voice cloning that captures the very soul of a speaker's cadence. Let's look at the mechanics of these attacks. The oldest and simplest form is the replay attack. An attacker records the victim's voice, perhaps from a phone call or social media, and simply plays it back to the authentication sensor. Then there is voice synthesis, or text-to-speech. Early systems required hours of clean studio data to build a model. Today, zero-shot voice conversion models can generate a convincing clone from a mere 3-second sample found on TikTok or YouTube. Furthermore, there is voice conversion. This is distinct from text-to-speech. In voice conversion, the attacker speaks into a microphone, and the AI modifies the timbre and pitch in real time to match the target victim. This allows for real-time fraud on phone calls, enabling the attacker to react dynamically to the victim's questions. This theoretical threat has already become a financial reality. Consider the case of the $25 million Hong Kong deception in 2024. A finance worker at a multinational firm was invited to a video conference call with the company's CFO and several other colleagues. The worker was suspicious of the initial email but relaxed upon seeing the faces and hearing the voices of people he knew. In reality, everyone on the call except the victim was a deepfake. The worker was manipulated into transferring $25.6 million to fraudulent accounts. This case shattered the illusion that live video and audio interactions were proof of presence. Then there was the Biden robocall incident in 2024. Prior to the New Hampshire primary, thousands of voters received a call from what sounded exactly like President Joe Biden, using his signature malarkey catchphrase, urging them not to vote. This wasn't just a political prank. It was a demonstration of how easily democratic processes could be disrupted by synthetic audio. The call was traced to a magician using a simple AI tool, highlighting the incredibly low barrier to entry. The psychological side effect of these technologies is what we call the liar's dividend. As the public becomes aware that any audio can be faked, bad actors can plausibly deny legitimate incriminating evidence. A CEO caught on tape making a racist remark or engaging in insider trading can simply claim, "That wasn't me, it was AI," and a significant portion of the public will believe them. This erosion of objective truth is perhaps more damaging than the fraud itself. So how do we defend against this? Defense against synthetic media is an arms race. As generation models get better, detection models must evolve. The current defense strategy is tri-modal: Liveness Detection, Watermarking, and Provenance. Liveness Detection acts as the gatekeeper. It answers the question, is this audio coming from a live human vocal tract right now, or is it a recording or synthesis? Active liveness systems might use a challenge response, asking the user to say a random phrase like, "purple dinosaur." This prevents simple replay attacks but is vulnerable to real-time voice conversion tools that can read text. Newer systems rely on prompted emotion, asking the user to say the password in a happy tone or to whisper. Current AI models struggle to switch emotions or vocal styles instantly without latency. Passive liveness is the invisible shield. It uses spectral analysis. Real human speech has micro-tremors and breath sounds, resulting from physical air pressure moving through vocal cords. Synthetic speech, generated by mathematical models, often lacks these subperceptual imperfections. It is often too perfect or contains specific high-frequency artifacts, often above 8 kHz, left by the vocoder, the part of the AI that generates the waveform. Passive detection also looks at channel characteristics. When a voice is played through a loudspeaker during a replay attack, the speaker adds resonance and the room adds reverb. Algorithms look for these box effects. Additionally, in video-based authentication, systems look for phoneme-visme mismatch, checking if lip movements perfectly match the sounds. Deepfakes often have slight desynchronizations imperceptible to humans, but glaring to algorithms. The second pillar of defense is audio watermarking. If we cannot detect the fake, we must certify the real. Companies like Resemble AI have developed neural watermarking that embeds a data signal into the audio that human ears cannot hear due to a phenomenon known as auditory masking. These watermarks persist even if the audio is compressed or cropped. There is a distinction between robust watermarks, designed to survive compression to prove copyright, and fragile watermarks, which are designed to break if the file is tampered with, alerting the security system. The third pillar is blockchain and provenance. The concept of glass-to-glass provenance suggests we need a chain of custody for media. The Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, or C2PA, creates standards for this. A microphone with a specialized cryptographic chip could sign the audio metadata at the hardware level. This signed audio is hashed and stored on a ledger. If the audio is deepfaked later, the hash won't match, and the content credential will show the file as unverified. Now, let's discuss the regulatory and legal frameworks. Governments are scrambling to regulate the collection of voice data and synthetic voices. In the United States, we have a patchwork of privacy laws. The Illinois Biometric Information Privacy Act, or BIPA, is the strictest. It requires explicit written consent before collecting voice prints. Crucially, recent rulings suggest that each time a company scans a voice without consent, it counts as a separate violation, creating massive liability. California CCPA and CPRA classify biometric data as sensitive personal information, giving users the right to opt out. Following the Biden incident, the FCC ruled that AI-generated voices in robocalls are artificial under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, making them illegal without express consent. In the European Union, the GDPR classifies voice data as special category data, requiring high justification. The AI Act categorizes AI systems by risk. Real-time remote biometric identification in public spaces by law enforcement is largely banned as an unacceptable risk. Biometric systems for critical infrastructure are high risk and must undergo strict assessments. Deepfakes face transparency risk requirements, meaning they must be clearly labeled as artificially manipulated. China has also moved aggressively with the deep synthesis provisions of 2023. Service providers offering deepfake capabilities must add watermarks and verify the real identity of users creating content. Their Personal Information Protection Law, or PIPL, places strict requirements on cross-border transfer of voice data. Let's look at how industries are applying these technologies. Financial services are on the front line. Banks were early adopters, using voice as a password. However, they now face account takeover attacks where fraudsters use cloned voices to bypass knowledge-based authentication. In response, banks are moving to passive background authentication. Instead of asking for a passphrase, the system listens to the natural conversation, scoring the voice for a match, while simultaneously running anti-fraud checks for deepfake artifacts. In healthcare, doctors use ambient listening tools like Nuance's DAX to generate clinical notes from patient conversations. The risk here is that a malicious actor could inject a fake voice command to alter a prescription. The defense involves speaker diarization, identifying who spoke when, combined with biometric verification to ensure only the authorized physician finalizes orders. In the automotive sector, cars use voice to unlock engines and personalize settings. To prevent thieves from using recordings to unlock a car, manufacturers rely on multimodal fusion. They combine voice biometrics with facial recognition and lip movement synchronization. The car won't start unless the voice matches and the lips move in sync with the password. Finally, we must look to the future, which involves quantum computing, ethics, and the human element. Current encryption standards used to protect biometric templates are vulnerable to future quantum computers. If a hacker harvests encrypted voice prints today, they could decrypt them later. The industry is migrating to post-quantum cryptography and developing cancelable biometrics. This means if your voice print is stolen, the algorithm can generate a new hash from your voice that doesn't match the stolen one, effectively resetting your biometric password. Ethically, companies like 11 Labs are implementing ethics by design. To clone a voice, users must read a prompt with their real voice to prove presence and consent. But ultimately, technology cannot solve everything. The grandparent scam, where a senior receives a frantic call from a voice-cloned grandchild, exploits fear. The defense here is the human firewall. We must train people to have safe words with family members. If a loved one calls claiming an emergency, ask for the safe word. If they cannot give it, hang up. Voice biometrics offers a future of seamless interaction, but it exists in a precarious balance. The defense of our digital voices will not be won by a single technology, but by a layered ecosystem of robust liveness algorithms, invisible watermarking, immutable provenance, and a vigilant public. As the line between real and synthetic blurs, proving who is speaking becomes a fundamental pillar of truth in our society. Thanks for listening to Fun Facts Online.